Hi guys, my name is Vincent. I am the CEO of Lucky Duck Games. Lucky Duck Games makes two types of game. One that are IP driven by mobile or PC game, and I have behind me Jetpack Jet Drive, which is a game that has been downloaded over 800 million times. And the other kind of game we do is app-driven, story-driven game. And Chronicles of Crime is a game that released last year in October and has sold very well for us since. The company is based in Poland and in the US. We have a creative studio in Krakow. And the little story is the reason why we have video game IPs and this kind of app-driven game is because we come from the video game industry. The three founding partners, which I'm one of them, we all came and used to own our own mobile game companies. So we understand those were our friends and we know how to do app-driven. So the future for us is very much a lot of Chronicles of Crime. Chronicles of Crime is a crime game the way you would think of Sherlock Holmes Consultative Detective, very narrative driven. But the difference is that you play with an app. And actually, if you follow me and come over here, I can show you quickly the game. In Chronicles of Crime, you don't have any book with any text. You actually have characters, you have locations. You have up 17 locations around London, and what you do is that you use an app to actually put all those people together. You basically start a new scenario, and you choose which scenario. I'm going to take the Power Behind, which is a trilogy of scenarios, and you simply start reading. Chief Officer Dole, character 33, has summoned you into his office. So so the game will tell you what character to take, where to put them. Your team has been put in charge of a murder which happened today in location D. So I have my location D that's set out outside. The gardener, character 40, has discovered the body of character 10. Come back to Scotland Yard once you know who did it. So basically that's how it's set up right now. The character 40 has discovered the body of character 10. And the way you play is simply by scanning on a location to move there and scanning someone to talk to them. And by doing so, you will go through a very complex narrative, asking questions to people and trying to get to the bottom of the story. What's really interesting here is two things. The first thing is that there is 5 scenarios with this game, but you can download more after. And which link to the second thing, we have put out a community editor, so anybody can actually write their own story and put them on download for anyone to play with this game. So it's a game that's for $39 MSRP, but with the same game you can replay almost infinitely as long as there is new content that's being developed for it. Some of the inspiration is clearly Sherlock Holmes Consultative Detective. The idea was to take Sherlock Holmes Consultative Detective, which is not a casual game. I mean, it's the first time we put it on the table with my wife. She said, "Wait, do I have to read that much?" I said, "Yeah." And to take this experience, though, that's very deep and very narrative, into something that you can play in an hour 15. The game is all about short text, short conversations, yet has a lot of dramatic effect. You receive phone calls, people can die, people can move. So the fact that it's digital, we use the fact that it's digital to have even more dynamism and dynamic. I'm French, by the way. sorry, literally if I'm French. But it adds this component of surprise that you cannot have with a book. So that was definitely the idea. We have this new expansion that came out called Noir, which takes the game into a 1950 Los Angeles. So this time you have, instead of having forensic experts, you have action, which is bribe, intimidate, follow, or break in. And so it's a completely different vision from the base game, which is basically you have forensic experts, like the criminologist, the hacker, and the scientist. The last cool thing I'll show you to conclude this is that the sweetener to this is that it has some virtual reality to it. So when you go to a crime scene, you can actually, this is an extra buy, it's not part of the base game, but you can basically put this on your phone like that, and you can look at the crime scene in pure virtual reality with your phone. So I will look like this, and I'm like, okay, so I see a shovel, I see a bag. So I don't know if you can try to see on the side how it looks like. So it has this stereo stuff that's put together. And it's really nice because it's very thematic. People are looking at the crime scene. They're really looking in this in this world. So it really adds an element of storytelling that's that goes beyond the paper and the kind of imagination. I'll tell you what, the video game industry is so cluttered by the fact that the barrier to entry is so low that I literally make video games with my 6 years old son, and so it's so accessible that it creates a lot of noise for professional. Unless you really have this one-hit wonder, it's really hard to survive there. And so there is something very interesting with the board game market, which, even though it is growing, as a barrier to entry that's much higher and allows professional to kind of have a bit more space to exist. And it turns out in the transition, we managed to bring back all the knowledge of making mobile games for the last 10-12 years into pretty interesting hybrid games. And so the company is definitely focused on bringing more of those hybrid games in the future. So you'll have more Lucky Dog app-driven stuff in the future.